Agatha, a tall, strikingly beautiful woman, roamed the dusty paths of her village. Her beauty, a gift, seemed to mock her misfortune. Orphaned at a young age, she had no siblings, no husband, and no children. As she passed by, villagers whispered and stared, not out of admiration but pity. Her tattered clothes flapped in the breeze, a stark reminder of her poverty. Her mates, long married and with families of their own, often cast her sidelong glances filled with pity and superiority. Every day felt like a heavy burden as Agatha struggled to make ends meet. She had no steady source of income and relied on occasional handouts or small chores. Her loneliness was amplified by the vibrant sounds of families, children, and bustling village life, a life she longed for but couldn't grasp. One hot afternoon, after finishing a small job, she sat by the stream to rest. Her heart ached as she washed her only decent dress. She glanced at her reflection in the water and sighed. What had she done to deserve such a fate? She felt trapped, isolated, and hopeless. As Agatha scrubbed her dress against the smooth rocks, the sound of footsteps interrupted her thoughts. Startled, she looked up to see a stunningly dressed woman approaching the stream. The woman's aura commanded attention. Her jewelry glittered, her flowing gown shimmered, and her smile was both warm and enigmatic. "Agatha, isn't it?" the woman asked, her voice honeyed but firm. Agatha nodded hesitantly. Everyone in the village knew this woman, Adora, the wealthy trader who had amassed her fortune through mysterious means. Some said she was kind, others whispered about her dark connections. Adora knelt beside Agatha, her expensive perfume filling the air. "You're a hard-working woman," she began, "and I see potential in you." Agatha frowned, unsure of where the conversation was heading. Adora leaned closer, her smile widening. "I have a job for you. A job that will end your suffering and make you richer than you've ever dreamed." Agatha's heart skipped a beat. She had longed for a chance to escape poverty, but she knew nothing came without a price. "Tell me more," Agatha said cautiously, curiosity outweighing her doubts. Adora explained the task in hushed tones, her voice smooth and persuasive. "It's simple," she began. "I run a discreet laundry service for the wealthiest people in the region. I need someone trustworthy to collect their clothes, wash them, and bring them to me." Agatha listened carefully, her eyes narrowing. "What's so special about this job?" she asked. Adora's smile didn't falter. "Some of these clothes are special. They require careful handling. I will pay you handsomely for your efforts." "What kind of clothes?" Agatha asked, her tone cautious. Adora hesitated for a moment before replying, "Undergarments, mostly. Men's and women's." Agatha recoiled slightly, unsure why such a task made her uneasy. But the promise of wealth clouded her judgment. "You'll earn more in a month than most people here make in a year," Adora added, her voice dripping with temptation. After a long pause, Agatha nodded. "I'll do it," she said, though doubt gnawed at the edges of her resolve. Adora's grin widened, and she placed a small pouch of coins in Agatha's hands. "This is just the beginning." The next morning, Agatha prepared herself for her first day of work. Adora had given her a list of names and addresses, each belonging to a wealthy villager. With the coin pouch still in her hand, Agatha felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps this was the opportunity she had prayed for. She borrowed an old basket from a neighbor and set off to collect the laundry. The villagers were surprised to see Agatha walking with purpose, but none dared question her. At each house, she introduced herself as Adora's new helper, collecting clothes with a humble smile. By noon, her basket was filled with fine fabrics, silks, and, as Adora had said, undergarments. Though she felt strange carrying such intimate items, the thought of a better life pushed her discomfort aside. Returning to the stream, she scrubbed the clothes meticulously. As she worked, she caught her reflection in the water again. For the first time, she didn't look defeated. There was a spark of determination. Agatha carried the clean laundry back to Adora's house, a grand mansion on the edge of the village. The sight of it made her pause. The tall gates, the sprawling gardens, and the glinting windows were a stark contrast to her humble existence. Adora greeted her at the door, her expression unreadable. "You've done well," she said, inspecting the clothes. She handed Agatha a second pouch of coins, heavier than the first. "This is for your hard work. Keep it up and your life will change." Agatha's fingers tightened around the pouch. "Thank you," she said softly, though unease lingered in her chest. Adora's smile was kind, but something about her eyes made Agatha uneasy. Before leaving, Agatha asked, "Why don't you hire someone wealthier for this? Someone with better clothes or experience?" Adora's reply was swift. "Because only someone who understands struggle will value this opportunity." Her words left Agatha quiet as she walked back home. She glanced at the coins in her hand, her heart torn between gratitude and suspicion. Days turned into weeks, and Agatha settled into her new routine. Each morning, she collected laundry from the wealthiest homes. She washed them by the stream, ensuring every piece was spotless, and delivered them to Adora in the evening. The villagers noticed the change in her. She no longer wandered aimlessly or begged for work. Her clothes, though still modest, were cleaner, and her posture carried a hint of confidence. Yet, whispers began to spread. Where does Agatha get her money? Why is she always at Adora's house? Agatha ignored the gossip, focusing on her work. The coins Adora paid her were piling up. She dreamed of buying new clothes, fixing her small hut, and even starting a business. One afternoon, as she worked by the stream, a young woman approached her. "Agatha," she said hesitantly, "be careful around Adora. She's not what she seems." Agatha frowned. "What do you mean?" The woman shook her head. "Just watch your back." With that, she hurried away, leaving Agatha with a sinking feeling in her chest. Agatha couldn't shake the young woman's warning. Her words replayed in her mind as she scrubbed the fine clothes at the stream. What could she mean? Adora was strict but generous. She had changed Agatha's life for the better, or so it seemed. That evening, Agatha delivered another batch of clean laundry to Adora. The woman's demeanor was pleasant as always, her smile warm, but Agatha couldn't help but notice the way Adora's eyes lingered on her longer than usual. "Something troubling you?" Adora asked. Agatha hesitated. "Someone told me to be careful around you." Adora's laughter rang out, light and airy. "Oh, my dear, jealousy is a disease in this village. Pay no attention to idle gossip." She handed Agatha another heavy pouch of coins. "Focus on your work and your future." Though reassured, Agatha couldn't ignore the gnawing doubt in her chest. As she walked home, she clutched the pouch tightly, wondering if the wealth she was earning came at a price she wasn't yet aware of. That night, Agatha's sleep was restless. She dreamed of the stream, but instead of clear water, it was filled with blood. She saw Adora standing on the riverbank, holding a bundle of clothes, her smile sinister.
Agatha tried to run, but her feet sank into the muddy bank. She woke up with a start, her heart pounding. The dream felt so real, so vivid, that it left her shaken. She sat up in her small hut, the moonlight streaming through the cracks in the walls. Her gaze fell on the pouches of coins she had earned. For the first time, they didn't bring her comfort. They felt like weights, dragging her into something dark and unknown. As dawn broke, she resolved to ignore her fears. Dreams were just dreams, she told herself. She had no one to turn to, and Adora was her only source of hope. Agatha pushed her doubts aside, determined to continue her work. One afternoon, Adora summoned Agatha to her mansion instead of meeting her at the usual drop-off point. Curious but cautious, Agatha complied. She found Adora seated in her opulent living room, sipping tea from a porcelain cup. "I have a special request for you," Adora began, her tone serious. "I need you to be more selective in the clothes you bring me. Focus on intimate items, undergarments." Agatha frowned. "But I already collect those. What's different now?" Adora smiled faintly. "Just be thorough. Pay attention to the owners. I'll compensate you even more generously. Agatha felt a pang of unease. Why would Adora care about such specifics? Yet, the promise of more money tempted her. She nodded slowly. I'll do it. Adora's smile widened. Good. You're proving to be invaluable. As Agatha left the mansion, a chill ran down her spine. Something about the request felt wrong, but her desperation kept her from questioning it further. The next day, Agatha began her rounds with Adora's strange request in mind. She noticed how some villagers hesitated before handing her their laundry, their eyes narrowing with suspicion. Why do you need these? One woman asked, clutching her bundle tightly. It's just my job, Agatha replied, forcing a smile. The unease spread. Rumors began circulating about Agatha's sudden wealth and her connection to Adora. Some villagers claimed their clothes felt different when they were returned, as if something had been taken from them. That evening, as Agatha returned to Adora's mansion, she found herself looking over her shoulder. The once simple job now felt like a secret she had to protect. When she handed over the day's collection, Adora praised her. You're doing wonderfully, she said, her voice warm. Keep it up. But Agatha's heart was heavy. She wondered if she was being drawn into something she didn't fully understand, and if it was too late to escape. One evening, as Agatha sorted the laundry by the stream, she noticed something peculiar. Among the garments, one undergarment was marked with a strange, intricate symbol stitched into the fabric. She had seen this symbol before, on the gates of Adora's mansion. Her hands trembled as she examined it more closely. What is this? She whispered to herself. The symbol seemed out of place, and for the first time, she began to question the nature of Adora's work. Why would anyone embroider such a thing on clothing? The villagers' warnings, the strange dreams, and Adora's increasing demands began to swirl in her mind. Agatha's instincts screamed at her to stop, but the money was too tempting. With shaky hands, she packed the laundry and delivered it to Adora as usual. Adora, noticing Agatha's hesitation, smiled knowingly. Is something troubling you, my dear? Agatha forced a smile. No, everything's fine. Adora's eyes lingered on her for a moment before she nodded. Good. Keep up the excellent work. As Agatha walked home that night, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. The next day, as Agatha worked at the stream, she was startled by a voice behind her. You're playing a dangerous game, Agatha. She turned to see Amaka, the village's spiritual healer. Amaka was known for her wisdom and mystical abilities, but her piercing gaze unnerved even the bravest souls. What do you mean? Agatha asked, trying to hide her unease. You're working for Adora, Amaka said flatly. Do you know what she does with the clothes you bring her? Agatha hesitated, her stomach twisting into knots. She's just running a laundry business, she replied weakly. Amaka's laugh was bitter. Laundry. Well, she's using those garments for rituals. Dark rituals that drain the life force of their owners. You're helping her steal from the people of this village. Agatha's heart raced. That can't be true, she whispered, but deep down, she knew Amaka's words held weight. Leave her, Amaka warned, her tone firm. Before it's too late. Agatha nodded but didn't commit. As Amaka walked away, Agatha felt torn between the truth she feared and the money she desperately needed. Agatha couldn't focus that evening. Her mind replayed Amaka's words. If what the healer said was true, she had unknowingly become part of something sinister. Yet, she still wanted to believe Adora's generosity was genuine. Determined to find answers, she decided to keep a closer eye on Adora. That night, she quietly followed Adora to a secluded part of the village. Hidden behind a thicket of trees, she saw Adora and several other women chanting around a fire. In the middle of the circle were garments, some of which Agatha recognized as ones she had collected. Her heart pounded as she watched. Adora's voice rose, her words unintelligible, but the flames seemed to grow brighter, almost unnatural. Agatha stumbled backward, stepping on a twig which cracked loudly. The chanting stopped. Adora turned sharply, her eyes scanning the darkness. Agatha held her breath, praying she wouldn't be discovered. After a tense moment, Adora resumed the ritual, and Agatha slipped away, terrified by what she had seen. The next day, Agatha confronted Adora. "I saw you last night," she blurted out as she handed over the day's laundry. Adora raised an eyebrow, her smile unchanging. "And what did you see, dear Agatha?" "Rituals," Agatha whispered, her voice trembling. "You're using the clothes for something dark." Adora's smile faded. She stepped closer, her presence suddenly overwhelming. "You don't understand what you're saying," she said coldly. "Those rituals are for protection. They keep this village prosperous." Agatha shook her head. "Amaka says you're stealing from people, draining their life force." Adora's eyes darkened. "Amaka is a meddler who doesn't understand power. Do you think wealth comes without sacrifice?" Agatha's resolve wavered. Adora placed a hand on her shoulder. "You've benefited from this. Do you really want to throw it all away?" Agatha hesitated, torn between fear and greed. I don't know." "Think carefully," Adora said, her tone soft but menacing. "You owe me your loyalty." Agatha couldn't sleep that night. Adora's words rang in her ears. "Do you think wealth comes without sacrifice?" The coins on her small wooden table seemed heavier than ever, a burden instead of a blessing. She thought of Amaka's warning and the villagers' suspicion. Could she continue working for Adora, knowing the harm it might bring? Yet, leaving the job meant returning to her life of poverty, isolation, and despair. The next morning, Agatha approached the stream, her thoughts clouded. As she scrubbed clothes, she felt an unfamiliar weight settle in her chest. Her conscience was awakening, but so was her fear. Amaka appeared again, standing silently at the edge of the stream. "You have a choice to make, Agatha," she said. "You can stop this before it's too late, or you can let greed consume you." "I don't know what to do," Agatha admitted, tears welling in her eyes. "I just want a better life." "Then fight for it with honesty, not deceit," Amaka replied firmly. As Amaka walked away, Agatha made a silent vow to uncover the full truth about Adora's rituals before deciding her next move. Determined to understand Adora's true intentions, Agatha began observing her more closely. She noticed Adora's frequent visits to the homes of influential villagers, always leaving with small bundles wrapped in silk. One evening, Agatha followed her again, staying hidden among the shadows. Adora met with a man who handed her a sack of garments. "These will do," Adora said, her voice low but clear. Agatha's heart raced. She couldn't shake the feeling that these exchanges were more than business transactions. She decided to investigate the garments herself. The next day, while collecting laundry, she inspected each item carefully. Several pieces bore the same strange symbol she had seen before. She also noticed faint, almost imperceptible stains that looked like dried blood. Agatha's hands shook as she worked. The evidence was mounting, and her resolve to expose Adora grew stronger. But she knew that confronting her directly again could be dangerous. For now, she kept her discoveries to herself, biding her time and gathering more proof. Agatha decided she couldn't face Adora alone. She needed help, someone who could guide her and lend her strength. Reluctantly, she turned to Amaka. "I need your help," Agatha said, finding Amaka at her small shrine on the edge of the village. "I want to stop Adora, but I don't know how." Amaka regarded her with a mix of surprise and approval. "You've made the right choice, Agatha," she said. "But this won't be easy. Adora is powerful, and her influence runs deep. What do I do?" Agatha asked, desperation in her voice. Amaka handed her a small charm made of beads and herbs. "Keep this with you. It will protect you from Adora's magic. But more importantly, you need to expose her rituals to the village. Only then will her power be broken." Agatha nodded, clutching the charm tightly. "I'll do whatever it takes." Amaka placed a hand on her shoulder. "Be careful, Agatha. Adora won't let go of her power without a fight." Agatha decided to test Adora's reaction by keeping one of the garments she had collected. It was a bold move, but she needed to confirm her suspicions. When she delivered the rest of the laundry that evening, Adora's eyes scanned the bundle. "Is everything here?" she asked, her tone casual but her eyes sharp. "Yes," Agatha lied, her heart pounding. Adora's smile didn't falter, but Agatha noticed a flicker of doubt in her expression. "Good. You've been doing excellent work, Agatha. Keep it up." As Agatha left the mansion, she felt a surge of adrenaline. She had the garment hidden in her hut, and she planned to show it to Amaka the next day. That night, however, she felt a strange presence outside her home. Peering through a crack in the wall, she thought she saw a shadow move. Her heart raced as she clutched the charm Amaka had given her. Agatha didn't sleep that night. The shadow she had seen outside her hut lingered in her mind, filling her with dread. Every creak of the wooden walls made her jump. Clutching the charm Amaka had given her, she whispered a prayer for protection. At dawn, she hurried to the shrine, the garment tightly wrapped in a cloth bundle. "Amaka," she called, her voice trembling. The healer appeared, her expression grave. "What happened?" Agatha recounted the shadow and her decision to hide the garment. Amaka examined the clothing carefully, her fingers tracing the strange symbol stitched into the fabric. "This symbol is part of a binding spell," she said. "It allows Adora to siphon energy from the owner of this garment." Agatha's stomach churned. "What do we do?" Amaka's face darkened. "We need to perform a cleansing ritual to weaken Adora's magic. But it will anger her. You must be ready for retaliation." Agatha nodded, her fear outweighed by her determination. Together, they began preparations for the ritual, knowing they were walking a dangerous path. That evening, under the cover of darkness, Amaka led Agatha to a secluded part of the forest. They carried the garment, a bowl of herbs, and a burning candle. "This ritual will sever the connection between Adora and her victims," Amaka explained. "But it will also reveal our defiance to her." Agatha swallowed her fear as Amaka began chanting. The healer sprinkled herbs over the garment and lit them with the candle. The flames danced unnaturally, their light casting eerie shadows on the surrounding trees. As the fire consumed the garment, the air grew heavy. Agatha felt a sudden chill, as though unseen eyes were watching them. "She knows," Amaka whispered, her voice tense. "We must finish quickly." The fire flared one last time before dying out, leaving behind only ashes. "It's done," Amaka said, her face pale but resolute. "Adora's grip on this garment is broken. But she will come for you now." Agatha nodded, bracing herself for the storm that was sure to follow. The next morning, Agatha went about her usual routine, pretending nothing had changed. But as she walked through the village, she felt the weight of eyes on her. Villagers whispered behind her back, their expressions a mix of curiosity and suspicion. When she arrived at Adora's mansion to deliver laundry, the atmosphere was different. The usual warmth in Adora's smile was gone, replaced by cold suspicion. "You've been quiet lately," Adora said, her tone laced with subtle menace. Agatha forced a smile. "Just busy with work." Adora's eyes bore into her, searching for cracks in her facade. "Good. I'd hate to think you were distracted by outside influences." Agatha's heart raced, but she held her composure. "Of course not." Adora's smile returned, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Be careful, Agatha. The people who meddle in things they don't understand often regret it." Agatha left the mansion with her hands trembling, Adora's words echoing in her mind. She knew the woman suspected her, and it was only a matter of time before she acted. That evening, as Agatha prepared to meet Amaka again, a loud knock echoed on her door. Her heart leapt into her throat as she cautiously opened it to find Amaka standing there. "It's time," the healer said firmly. "Time for what?" Agatha asked, confused. "To confront Adora directly," Amaka replied. "She's growing suspicious, and her power is too great to ignore. We need to act before she strikes first." Agatha hesitated. "What if she harms us?" Amaka's eyes gleamed with determination. "We have the truth on our side. The villagers need to see what she's doing. Together we can expose her." Summoning her courage, Agatha followed Amaka to the village square, where a small crowd was already gathering. Amaka had called them there, her voice ringing with authority as she explained Adora's dark rituals. The villagers listened in stunned silence, their disbelief slowly turning to anger. "We've trusted her for years," one man shouted. Amaka raised a hand. "You'll see the truth tonight. But you must stand with us." That night, Agatha, Amaka, and the villagers marched to Adora's mansion. The crowd carried torches, their anger fueling their steps. Agatha's heart pounded as she walked beside Amaka, clutching the protective charm tightly. Adora stood at the gates, her expression calm but her eyes blazing with fury. "What is the meaning of this?" she demanded. Amaka stepped forward. "We know what you've been doing, Adora. The rituals, the symbols, the garments. You've been draining the life from this village." Adora laughed, the sound chilling. "And who benefits from this power? You all do. Your crops grow, your businesses thrive. Do you think prosperity comes without sacrifice?" The villagers murmured uneasily, but Amaka silenced them. "We don't need your dark magic. We can thrive on our own." Adora's smile disappeared. "You're fools to challenge me," she hissed. The air around her seemed to ripple, and the villagers took a step back in fear. Amaka stood her ground. "Your power ends tonight.